I'm Justin with AmericanTrucks.com, and on this episode of The Haul, we give you a tour of K&N and show you how they make their legendary filters and intakes. We're here in beautiful Riverside, California, home of K&N Engineering, to check out how they make all their killer products. I'm joined by Ross. And Ross, for the few people out there who don't know K&N, can you tell them a little bit more about the company?
Sure. So K&N is the original washable, reusable performance air filter. We not only make performance air filters here, but also air intake systems.
You guys have been doing it a very long time as well, right? Since 1969, I believe?
1969.
I know it started out as a motorsports company back in the day, but now you're making everything from F-150 air filters and intakes, while we're here today, of course, in addition to Mustang stuff, and even for Mom's minivan out there, right?
That's right.
Well, we're happy to be here today. I know we have a lot to check out, so let's stop talking and get after it. What do you say? Let's do it. All right. All right, Ross, so this is ultimate garage goals, I guess you could say, man. Tell me a little bit more about what goes down in this room.
Well, we're real fortunate that we have our own race shop, our own garage to test out our products on a regular basis, whether it's on the road race course and our full dragsters over here. It's neat to see us compete in the Horsepower Challenge. You know, the same technology that we're using racing, whether it's NASCAR or NHRA, that's the same technology that we're putting into every customer's products on a daily basis.
That's awesome, and it is important to point out too that you guys started in motorsports. It's in your heritage, it's in your DNA.
When Ken and Norm founded K&N, and for us to be able to carry that torch, I'm very passionate about what we do, and it's exciting to know that we continue that every day.
Well, Ross, I appreciate you bringing me in the race shop, man, showing the heritage, the racing, what you guys are all about, but now it's time to check out the other side, right?
You got it. Well, no problem. I'm going to introduce you over to Adam now. Adam's going to take you on a tour of all of our production, from air filtration over to intakes.
Awesome. Thanks, dude. And Adam, what's going on? Nice to meet you as well. Let's check this out. All right, so Adam, this is our pleating shop, right? This is essentially where all of your legendary K&N filters are born, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. This is where it all starts. We bring in these giant rolls of cotton,
wow.
And it's cotton gauze like you would expect to see from a medical supplier or something. It's just layers of woven cotton. So you'll bring in either 4 or 6 layers of the cotton, depending on the application, and then they'll run through this epoxy-coated screen mesh here, and then they'll run through this pleating machine, which actually kind of weaves them together and creates that.
Gives you that texture almost, yeah.
And then once that's done, they'll cut them into length, roll them up, and then they go across over to actually be made into filters. In the 60s, Ken and Norm K&N, they invented this type of filter material. They were desert racers, and they said, we got to come up with something better than these traditional disposable filters that just aren't working in this desert environment. So they came up with this oiled cotton, and 50 years later, here we are. But high flow filtration, so you get the performance of the high airflow for your engine, but also doing everything you need to do to protect that engine, keep it safe in all the environments you're racing or driving in. So if you want, we can actually go check out one of these machines that's running, and you can see how it actually is done.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, cool.
So you can see here, obviously we got our cotton media, and this is running a 4-layer ply right now. And then our 2 layers of epoxy coated mesh, one on each side. Then it's going to run into the pleater where those teeth are going to weave it into that filter media.
Makes it look like that big accordion, right?
Exactly. You can see after those teeth do their things, everything's pleated together just like you would see on a finished filter. All they have to do is just trim it to length, depending on the application, and then get your oil applied and put it into a filter.
So from now, we get to go see some CNC and maybe some capping, correct?
Right on.
All right.
Good.
All right, Adam, so what do we got going on in here, my friend?
Well, we are in our CNC shop, our machine shop, where we build all of our molds to manufacture our filters. So we have all these CNC machines going, and what they're gonna do is take these chunks of aluminum and they're gonna mill them out using our CNC machines based off the designs that our R&D department comes up with in our CAD and SolidWorks programs.
Okay.
It's basically a negative mold for the filter itself. So you can see these are teeth where the actual pleats of the media will sit.
Oh, cool.
What happens is every one of these is part specific for a specific filter. So
that'll either be your cone filter or your drop-in filter.
You got it.
All right, let's check one of these out.
Cool. The pleated material that we saw earlier gets cut down into the correct length, and if it's cone filter like this one's going to be, they seal the edge so that it's round instead of flat, and then they take these pleat packs is what we call them.
Okay.
And then we come over to these carousel machines here, where you can see one end is the base, the part that's going to be going to the throttle body or the end of the intake tube, and then the opposite end is going to be the cap, which is the top with the logo on it that you're used to seeing at the end of the filter. It's usually urethane, plastisol, depending on the type of filter. Sometimes we want that to be a real rigid mold, and sometimes we want it to be more pliable.
Gotcha.
So it depends on the type of filter that we're making. The table is actually heated to help cure that material. So as it comes around, the material cures.
Okay.
They get to the other side where one of the workers here pulls the filter out, and that side of it's cured. Then you'll flip it over.
So get its cap put on.
Once they're done with that,
You get a completed
you
filter.
end up with a finished filter.
There it is.
And the only thing missing from this is oil, which I can show you. But first, I want to show you the other type of filter manufacturing, which is injection molding. So
All
let's
right.
take a look at that.
Let's do that.
These guys make up the majority of our drop-in and panel style filters. So all these are done through injection molding. A different style of mold, they'll put the filter material actually in the little teeth that I showed you earlier.
Right.
And then this will close up and the nozzle will inject the urethane or plastisol material in. And then when it's all done,
Look at that.
it'll come out, and this is actually where the material is injected in. You'll see there's a lot of excess that they'll trim off.
Okay.
And when you're done, you end up with a nice clean filter
Look at
like
that.
that.
So if you have a stock airbox in your F-150 or something like that, and you don't want to commit to a full-blown aftermarket intake system, always go with the tried and true K&N drop-in filter, plop it right in your airbox, and you're good to go.
You're good to go.
That's awesome, man. Very cool.
As you mentioned earlier, this one's still white, so we got to get that red color to it, which
Yes,
is in
we
the
do.
oiling process. So why don't I show you that now?
All right.
So once the filters are done being made, they come over here to oiling, where as you can see, they're getting their red coloring.
I see that, but it looks like you missed a spot or two.
Now, it definitely looks like that at first. When you look at the machine, there actually is a pre-measured amount of oil for each filter, depending on the size of the filter and type of cotton. So they measure out exactly how much oil should be sprayed on there. They put it on there, and they're not really worried about making sure they get every inch of it, because what happens is over time,
Ah, okay.
the
Start to
red
expand a little
soil
bit.
oil will start to expand throughout the filter.
I gotcha.
Just like if you were to spill oil on a cotton t-shirt, it spreads throughout it because it just absorbs into the cotton.
I know that feeling all too well, my friend.
Exactly. So what happens is after about 20, 30 minutes, this will be completely red throughout.
Very
and
cool.
then that way you're good to go.
All right, good stuff. Well, it looks like we're pretty much done here with you, right, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty much done. We just got to package this thing up, put it into our conveyor system, and then it goes out to the customers or stores.
I like the sound of that. Well, I know we're missing half the equation. We got our filters, but we're still missing intake tubes, correct?
We are. So why don't I take you back over to Ross and you can show you how that part of the
I
process
appreciate the
gets
help,
done.
man.
All right, you got
Thanks,
it.
Adam. All right, man, so we've seen how our filters have been made here with Adam, but now we need the other part of the equation, right, which is tubing.
Sure. So with our cold air intake tubes, they all start here with a raw 20-foot piece of aluminum tubing, and then we cut it down to size so it'd be very purpose-built. With those intake tubes, those straight pieces, then we put them right into our mandrel bender,
Okay.
so we can actually have the perfect airflow.
Absolutely. So nice smooth flow, that's what you want, right?
There
And
you go.
predominantly aluminum, what you guys deal with, right, for the most part?
Absolutely, just because it's not sensitive to all the heat, and we can make sure we're optimizing the best cold air performance and capturing the most dense cold air to maximize horsepower.
I think a lot of people forget about that too, right? Heat is the enemy of horsepower, right?
And because of that, that's why we've been able to see such great performance gains in all of our air intake systems.
Very cool.
After the tubes are manual bent, then we're adding in the bong, we're adding in mass airflow sensor elements into it, and then bringing the air intake tubes into this area to be sanded and deburred and to get all the hard edges off of our intake system so that they're ready to go get polished and then powder coated.
Very nice, cool. So they're just roughing them up right here.
And then it makes it for a better powder coat and better polish.
Very nice. So let's go check out the powder coating and polishing. What do you say,
All right,
sir?
let's
All
go.
right. All right, Ross, so here we are, man. Last part basically is paint and powder coat, right? We don't have any intake tubes on the conveyor now, but we just have heat shields.
That's it. So we've got the raw metal good going on the conveyor belt. They're getting some powder coat onto it and then into the oven to dry and cure. And
That's awesome. But you guys are more than just aluminum and metal products. You guys also have plastic stuff as well. I've always heard the term, know the term rotomolding. I've never seen it actually done. So can I check that out?
there we go. Let's
All
go
right,
check out
let's
that
do
one.
it. So we made our way over from the aluminum facilities over to the rotomolding, basically the plastic intake tubes. Can you tell these guys at home a little bit more how these things get made?
This rotomolding process for these giant cast aluminum tubes are set up basically to take all the resin spec'd out for each cold air intake system. That system then goes through this process of spinning around, heating and curing until we have a final cold air intake system. Once it's pulled out, then it's cut down, opening up both sides of that hollow intake system.
That's pretty wild. And this is the original building of K&N over 50 years ago. This is where it all started.
Yes, we're real fortunate that we still have this on our campus and we do use it on a regular basis.
So we've had the luxury of seeing a very top secret room here, their filtration lab. Corey, how you doing, sir? And Corey, if you can, explain to these guys watching at home in a nutshell what the purpose of the filtration lab is.
This particular test that we're doing here right now, it's for quality control purposes, and we do a full ISO 5011 industry standard test. This particular air box, this is one that a customer would have in their vehicle, and that's what we try to do, is we try to do all our testing to simulate what a customer would see in their vehicles.
You have an air box, you have it basically on a big vacuum or a pump, and at some point you actually crank some dust through this thing too to really check how these things are flowing, correct?
Correct. We actually call this the dust feeder, and it has the dust and an auger assembly here to mount it on a scale, so that way you know how much dust you drop throughout the test.
Okay.
It drops into this assembly here, pulls it through. Here's the air, here's where the dust is coming in. It mixes here, pick up in the dust stream and kind of atomize however it wants to atomize, and then hit the filter however it wants to hit the filter.
Let's show these guys what kind of dust might end up on your filter at home during a test like this. Now I know this is a power sports filter, but it kind of gives you a better idea of what these things go through in a test like this.
Yeah, and the initial test pretty much is what the average customer would see when they actually clean their filters, what I see on it. But then the actual last part of the test where it really puts a lot of dust on it, you know, we really killed the thing, and as you can see, I mean, it's nice and clean in there.
And even given this thing looks like hell, still flows pretty darn good.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's not exactly what it did new, but I can tell you it's pretty dang close.
Well, you got a pretty cool job here, and I know it's very scientific, and I appreciate you giving us a brief look into a typical day here in the filtration lab.
It was nice having you.
Thanks, sir. All right, Ross, what's this secret room back here, man?
So this is pretty exciting. This is our carbon fiber shop, and I'd like to introduce you to Mike, who's gonna walk you right through the process.
Thanks, Ross, appreciate it. Mike, what's happening, man? What are we doing over here?
So we are creating the 5-inch universal top that goes on our cone filters.
Okay.
And what we have here is a pre-preg carbon fiber. And we're gonna place this into the mold here. And it's also backed up with fiberglass.
Yeah, it's crazy that something soft and pliable like this goes to this. So let's check out the next step of how we go from soft to hard, essentially.
Yep, that would be the vacuum bag. What that's doing is it's pulling out the air, and it's also forcing these plugs into the cell.
And then from here, we go into that big oven we saw outside, so we go check that out. This is called your autoclave, correct?
Correct. This is where the parts go after we vacuum bag them. It's basically a pressurized oven.
Okay.
So if you have a pressure cooker at home, we do this electronically, yeah.
Okay. And this just kind of cures that resin we were talking about earlier?
Yeah, it takes it from a sticky resin, turns it liquid, and then turns it to the hard state after
awesome.
about an hour and a half.
And this is crazy. We're seeing scoops off like a Sportsman dragster and structural parts. So you guys do more than just intakes, correct?
That's for sure. If it has something to do with automotive, you know, we're trying to get there, so.
Well, I appreciate you showing me the ropes today, brother. Very cool stuff. All right, brother. Well, we've seen how things are made. Now where are you taking me?
Now we're coming into our intake development room. I'd like you to meet Wayne.
So you got some cool toys in here, man. Brand new Mustang, Raptor, and a bagger. So what exactly do you do with all these toys?
Well, we develop intake kits for them. We actually developed 4 brands in this building.
Okay.
Even though they're done in this building, they're completely different. Every one of these kits you see here are for the F-150 3.5 EcoBoost. We engineer every single kit for that type of brand. This is the K&N brand, guaranteed horsepower. This is the Air Raid, closed air box. AEM, dual tube kit, and then our Spectre. This is our value line.
Okay.
So this will meet every consumer out there.
Absolutely. I like that, man. And I see the Spectre is definitely a little bit more value line because you're not getting that much with that. Air Raid's definitely for the higher end market, right?
Exactly.
And then K&N's the name we all trust. But honestly, Wayne, there's something behind us here that, listen, I'm a Raptor owner. I haven't seen a K&N out for this thing yet, but it looks like you got one under the hood. What's up with this thing?
It is basically taking the existing design on the Raptor, but modifying it to 2017 Raptor.
I like it, man. So what do we got? The rotomolded plastic tube, it looks like. You need a tune for this thing or no?
No tune for this thing.
Okay.
But you do get that million-mile filter.
Very cool, man. Now, you guys actually have a couple of dynos in here from what I understand, right? So you get to play with cars all day long?
All day long, 2 chassis dynos and a motorcycle dyno.
Nice.
All the fun toys.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you for showing me the new products and some of the old cool products as well. We really appreciate it, buddy. Guys, that's going to wrap us up here from K&N. We hope you enjoyed this episode of The Haul. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more great content like this and other great F-150 stuff. But in the meantime, I'm Justin. Thanks for watching, and for all things F-150, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.